Hello, everybody. So Jack and I are down in the cabin. He's in his bed here, and I'm in the chair, and we're ready to cut a video. And we're doing it down here, even with the poor lighting, because Betsy's upstairs, or she's in the main house, and she's making a lot of noise. So didn't want that. So we've taken refuge down here, and I want to talk to you about this coronavirus. And the reason I want to talk to you about it is, honestly, it seems like nobody can talk about anything else. It comes up, this past week, it came up in every session I had. In satsang, I brought it up in satsang and talked somewhere along the line that I'm going to do with you here today. And just dropped my car off and for service, and the person at the dealership, she said, you know, blah, 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 let me tell you my coronavirus story. She'd been down in Charleston with her parents and had seen MUSC and the preparations there and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just on the front of our minds, and we can't make it not be on the front of our minds because it's on the front of our minds. And we don't want to go to battle with our minds because, you know, we can't win that battle. You know, deciding I'm not going to think about this when the whole world is thinking about this would be crazy. So let's think about it, or talk about it, but let's think about it sanely and maturely, and try not to go off the deep end here, because this is just an event that's happened on this planet many, many times. Hasn't happened in modern times in a long time. But I want you, from the non-dual view, I just want you to notice that it's as if oneness has a rash. If you look at the globe and where they're pinpointing all of with the little lights, where they're pinpointing where this disease has spread, this virus has spread, and all this, then it really does. It looks pretty much like oneness has a rash. So let's think about it from the standpoint of oneness and not from the standpoint of the individual. Because let's be clear on something here. It's that non-duality is reality. I mean, the non-dual truth that's being taught here is not fanciful, nor is it being gleaned from books. This is what's coming out of this mouth, is what has been the experience here. Now, it hasn't been Fred's experience here because there's no Fred. So it's not Fred talking to you. This is awakeness talking to you. And it's not Fred talking to Jack or Jill. It's awakeness, or it's awakeness talking to awakeness. So awakeness, let's get a grip here for just a minute. So from the non-dual view, which is the view that we all should be taking right now, and I say should, we shouldn't be if we're not, but you know, but it does seem like it's an availability for those of us who are of this persuasion. Those of us who are thinking non-dually can notice that I can't find a problem here. I just can't find a problem. I mean, I know everybody is talking about the big problem, and that and they're talking about, you know, boy, it's just a major disaster, or it's just awful, or it's I don't get any of that. I really do not. What I get is that everything is as it is, right? And see, in order to know this was a disaster, you'd have to know what was supposed to be going on here. And fortunately, I'm just so ignorant that I don't know what's supposed to be going on here. I mean, I am so ignorant that you could convince me that what is going on here is what's supposed to be going on here. As a matter of fact, I think you'd have a great deal of difficulty in convincing me of everything else, of anything else. Wait a minute, Willie's wanting to get in. Let me let him in. Come on, baby. There you go. Good boy. We don't want Willie standing out in the cold while you and I are nice and snug as bugs in a rug. So I don't know I can't find anything wrong here. And I don't know what it is that can't find anything wrong here. I just can't find anything wrong here, whatever it is that I am. What I can tell you that that the code word that we use for what I am is conscious awakeness. That's the code word we use. What is conscious awakeness? I don't know. Right? It is what it is from. It is this. It is this, and it knows it is this. And it is, and when I say this, I don't mean this cabin or this yard or this house. I mean this globe that we're looking at and all the other planets and all the stars, you know, and all the blades of grass outside. And let me tell you something about this, what is. Everything is okay. Everything really is fine. When I tell you that everything is fine, and I can promise you that everything is going to be fine as well. Now, I have no idea what fine looks like. None. Other than this, of course, I can see what fine looks like right now, but I can't like imagine what fine will look like in the future, because there is no future, there's only now. And what I can do is I can look right now and notice that everything is fine. And what I just have discovered is that this now that you actually are, you're not experiencing this now, you are this now itself. You are, there's just this. This is what you are. And you are, and there's just this as it is. There's no place, there's no reality where there's this minus, or certainly our reality is not that there's just this minus the coronavirus, or there's just this plus the freezer I wish I'd bought, or there's just this and plus the milk, that I've got more milk, or whatever. It's just not so. And you are exactly as prepared as you're supposed to be. Now, that does not hold true for any moment but this one. For instance, what I noticed about 3 weeks ago was that Betsy and I were absolutely fine. I couldn't find anything wrong. I couldn't imagine anything going wrong. And I don't project much into the future because there isn't one. But I nonetheless had a feeling that, you know, maybe we should start doing some things. And so we did. We started doing some things. Just had a sense of things. So we, you know, just started buying some stuff and all that kind of stuff and getting prepared so that we wouldn't be part of the rush. So we just go ahead and have ours if anything happened, and we'd go ahead and have ours, and we wouldn't be forced to go out there and grab from our brothers and sisters, because I wouldn't know how to do that. I mean, I just wouldn't. And doesn't mean that the unit couldn't do it, but it wouldn't be, but it wouldn't have anything to do with me. And I don't think the unit would do it, really. It's just, this unit's just, it's just too grateful. See, that's what I really find here today, is I find gratitude. You know why I find gratitude? Because everything is fine right now. And right now travels. Betsy and I discovered years ago, prior to either one of our awakenings, that we made a decision, actually. And it felt like we're making a decision. I mean, let's not try to get too non-dually precise. We made a decision that we wanted to be happy. And we decided we wanted to be happy forever. Because we were just so joyful. We were sitting in the bed one night. We were watching our little program. It was a Saturday night. We were holding hands. At that time, it wasn't dogs. It was cats were in the bed with us, and everything was good, just the way. I mean, it's just, that's what we do with Saturday nights, and it's just bliss. And not that this isn't, but it's a different form of bliss. So we were sitting there, and we just were so overjoyed. And I looked at Betsy and I said, you know, if we had $3 million, we were both broke and heavily in debt, just poor as rats. And nonetheless, I looked over at Betsy and I said, you know, if we had $3 million in the bank, it wouldn't be any better than this. It just couldn't be. And Betsy said, you're right. I mean, it couldn't improve this present circumstance. We don't need it. We're sitting in our bed. What do we need with $3 million? Right? We don't need $3. We don't need anything this moment. And what I notice is I don't need anything this moment. Meaning Fredness is not lacking in anything but this moment. I'm never lacking in any moment. I can't be lacking. I'm everything that is. So there's just one thing going on. I'm it, you're it. Anybody can say it and be true, but everybody who says it is saying it from the very same position. We're saying it as oneness. You may think you're a Jack or a Jill pretending to be oneness as I ask you to do so, but the truth is that you're oneness pretending to be a Jack or a Jill. And when you take your correct position as oneness, I want you to tell me right now, can you find anything wrong here? I can't. I just can't. And neither can you if you look from the eyes of oneness. So if you're having difficulty with that, what I want you to do is we've always been used to looking at the world as this unit. I used to look at the world. I thought I was a Fred Davis for over 50 years. Little did I know, right? I mean, who knew? And so now what we can do is we can begin to look through these units. When I say look through these units, I mean, just imagine that this unit is your virtual helmet, which it is, essentially, and that you know thing, it for the sake of languaging, which doesn't mean it's true, it just means it's the way of presenting it. You essentially put on one of these units the same way this unit would put on a virtual helmet. And when this unit puts on a virtual helmet, it will have a virtual experience. And I might think that I am, I could be in a garden or I could be on Mars, but I would never be leaving this room. It would not be it would feel, for me, it would be a real experience. It would be literally a real experience. It would be an experience because it would be an experienced experience, and that's as real as it gets. It would be a strong sense of experience, and it would be an experience. It just wouldn't be grounded in truth. That's what happens when one of these units puts on a virtual helmet. And that's what happens when awakeness puts on one of these units. And it's not like awakeness got arms and legs, but just imagine, because see, it's actually this space that's awake. And I know you can't get that till you can, but trust me. I mean, there's no really, I don't think, in all these years, I don't think I've given you too much to not trust me about. So just trust me, pretend like I'm telling you the truth. And you can have back your thinking if yours works better than mine. I don't care. I'll have no dog in this fight. If you choose to be miserable, have at it. So, but if we look through one of these units, imagine that you, invisible you, and just for a way of seeing it, imagine that invisible you could step back a foot behind this body. And imagine that you could lean forward and fit your head into the head of this body, and that then you could look through it. But you're not looking as that body. You know you're not that body. You're the awake space that's looking through that body. And what are you looking at? You're looking at awake space. So, but it can be conscious. That which is looking through this unit can experience two states. It can be unconscious awakeness, or it can be conscious awakeness. For my neighbors over here, so far as I know, the experience is unconscious awakeness. And the experience in around Clarity House is conscious awakeness. But it's awakeness either way. And everything is not, everything is fine here and everything is fine at my neighbor's. The difference is that over here, I know it. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. Because you've been studying non-duality for a long time. Well, guess what? Heads up, there can't be a better time to practice it. I had a woman wrote me this morning, and she booked an awakening session, and I told her the truth when I sent her back the information on it, or actually when I thanked her for the payment, and I said, just couldn't be a better time. And then there's never a better time. It's always now, because you can't wake up soon. But let's look at this now. This now offers us an opportunity to wake up to this. I mean, it's a fabulous opportunity, because what is it that typically drives us toward the demand for the experience of conscious awakeness? Suffering. And I will just tell you that there is a whole world of suffering happening right now. And I mean, it's just everywhere. It's, they've shut down all these countries, and they're sealing their borders, and they're closing schools, and they're doing all this kind of stuff. And everybody is really worried for no reason. See, everybody thinks that this moment is a model for the next moment, that it's a continuation really of this moment, and it's not. It's another moment. This moment is you can like wager that this moment is indicative of the next moment, and you'll probably win most of the time. But let's just notice that very, very really most of the time, I think you'd lose in one way, but in the sense that I think I'm headed toward the kitchen and I end up in the bathroom. I thought I was going to the kitchen, and the body just went to the bathroom because that's what it demanded, right? So I didn't make a decision, gee, I think I'll go to the bathroom instead. I stood up and it went, we're going to the bathroom. So, and then now we'll go to the kitchen, get something else to drink so we can go to the bathroom again. So this moment is as it is. There's no comparison to this moment. We think there is. We think that this moment, we can compare this moment to the apparent preceding moment. And we can't, because that's fantasy. That's imagination. This is living truth. It's living truth. That's dead fantasy. And to look forward and see, oh my God, everybody's going to starve, and this is the way it all ends, and all this or whatever, or I'm not, I'm not prepared for this, or I'm not ready for this. You're ready. You're ready. Now, again, go take prudent measures. Go do what you can, fill up your car maybe. I don't know about that, but certainly go stack a few groceries in, maybe a bunch of groceries, and try to think about what else you could have on hand that would be handy, it'd be nice to have. So I'm not poo-pooing preparation for the possibility of this moment not being the model for the next moment. I'm actually making preparations for the fact that this model is not a model for the next moment. And I don't even have a model for the next moment, and neither do you. But the difference is I'm not imagining one, and plenty of you are. I really am not imagining a future. I have no idea what tomorrow will look like. I don't know what a month from now will look like. And I'm not wasting my time fantasizing, and I'm not wasting my time telling myself scary stories, and just so I can, be scared the way you do when you're a kid, because that's what we do. We tell ourselves scary stories. We believe them. We suffer from them. And then we come to non-duality to try to overcome the suffering that we're experiencing because we're believing what we just made up. That's Fred's 4 ignoble truths in a nutshell. We make stuff up, Number 2, we believe it. Number 3, we suffer because we believe it. Number 4, we come to non-duality or come to spirituality, period, in hopes of overcoming the fear that we're experiencing because we're believing stories that we just made up. It's incredible. But that's what we do. That's the human way, right? Because we don't care about what is. Notice that what is just fine. What we care about is what we think about what is. And I got to tell you, this moment, it doesn't suit Fred's preferences, but hell, no moment really suits Fred's preferences. I mean, I just go through life having my preferences unmet as a unit. It's just bumping into, oh, this sucks and that's wrong. This sucks and that's wrong. And these people don't know what they're talking about, and these people don't understand me, and blah, 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 blah. None of it is true. What's true is that everything is fine. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if everything wasn't fine, but everything is. And everything, quote, is gonna be fine. What I mean is that it can't not be fine because we cannot fight the inevitable, whatever that is. It may be inevitable that this thing passes over. It may be inevitable that this thing really is a blammo. Well, you know, actually, the first thing that occurred to me when this virus, when I first heard of this virus, I looked at Betsy and I said, ooh, it may have just made it, and this is just a way of talking, it's not true. It's a way of speaking it to my wife in a casual way. And I said, well, it may have just made up its mind. There's too many of us. And in a way, that's kind of what's happening. But there are not too many of us right now. There weren't too many of us yesterday. There was just the right amount, and just the right amount today. And everybody that's healthy, that's exactly where they're supposed to be. And I don't mean this in a coarse way. If you are suffering right now from coronavirus or anything else, or you have a loved one who is suffering from coronavirus or anything else, let me tell you my first response to that. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I can feel your pain, and I'm sorry for that. I can feel your fear, and I'm sorry that you're scared. And sure, on some scale, this shouldn't be happening, but that's an imagined scale. Let's not go there. Let's just notice that everything is as it is. And we could spend years arguing about what should be and what could be and what might be and what ought to be. But what we can notice, what we can't argue about, is that it is what it is. It is what it is. This is a perfect world. I promise you, it is a perfect world. It is also an imaginary world, and this is an imaginary unit, but we don't need to go there. Let's stick with perfect, because the other kind of gets a technical thing, and we want to keep this simple. It's a perfect world. What's happening is perfect. It's perfect from the God's eye view. Because see, when I look for things through the Fred's eye view, just everything is wrong. It used to be that I could be as miserable right now as I was 15 years ago. All I would have to do would be to start believing thoughts that still arise here. Because there's a guy here. There's a human being here. There's a husband here. You know, there's a dad to these foolish dogs. And I'm concerned for everybody. But I'm not worried about it. I'm just concerned enough to take some action. And then I'm concerned enough to not take any action, which is we're pretty well self-isolated. I do have to go back and get my car this afternoon, but when I get home, I ain't moving. I haven't moved for 6 days, and I'm not going to move much anyway. Now, I'm fortunate. I get it. I work at home, and you don't, maybe. And I don't think I'm going to miss a great deal of income, and you may. And you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm sorry. No kidding. I really feel for you. I can't imagine what those circumstances would be like. I'm going to let you imagine them, because that's not what's happening here right now. But I do feel for you. God, I mean, I've been poor as a rat most of my life, or certainly in not most of my life, but in certainly in early recovery for 3.5 years. I was poor as a rat, and then I got graduated all the way to just poor for another couple of years, and then things turned around on their own. And I just kind of grabbed the back of the train, and it's pulled me ever since. Stay calm. Do what you need to do, but stay calm. Take care of what you need to take care of, but don't try to overdo it. The universe is not going to let you down. And I promise you, if you are supposed to, we can't speak. There's no supposed to for an individual. What we can notice is that what's going to happen is going to happen. And we can argue with that as it happens, and we can suffer along with the happening. Willie gets sick. I can decide that shouldn't be happening, and I can, not only will Willie be sick, but I will be suffering along with it. Now, there's going to be enough concern, usable, genuine concern about Willie if he gets sick. I don't need to start making stuff up. I don't need to start projecting the future. Oh my God, he's sick and he's never going to get better. And right now, what we can say is well, everything's fine right now. Everything is fine other than in my head. I mean, I don't have this thing yet. And when I have it, that'll be fine. And Betsy gets it, that'll be fine. And if we die from it, that'll be fine. It may not feel like it at the time. It will not meet Fred's preferences, but it will be fine. And I personally don't think it will be fought off here. We'll have concern over Betsy and the boys, but I'm okay. I'm okay, because I'm the unborn. I can't die. And so are you. You are the unborn awakeness. You can't get sick. You can't die. You can't lose anything. You can't gain anything. You can't buy anything. You can't sell anything. And you can't give anything away. There's just this, as it is. And it's perfect. Take it from me. Just relax a little bit. I love you. Talk to you again soon.